No Man's Sky. How's it going today, guys? Doing something a little bit different today. Instead of playing through a game, I'm actually going to be talking about and kind of reviewing a game. So the game I'm going to be reviewing is going to be one that I was exceptionally excited for before it came out, No Man's Sky. If you're not familiar with No Man's Sky, it is a survival space exploration game. Basically, in this game you start off on a planet after you've crashed your ship, and you essentially have to go through and fix up your ship, all the different systems, so you can take off again and start the adventure of exploring from planet to planet, discovering different species, building different upgrades for your suit and for your ship, interacting with other races and learning their languages. A game like this, a game with a scale like this, actually had a lot of potential. Or it at least built itself up to be this unbelievable game that was almost too good to be true. I have about 70 hours of gameplay in this game, so I feel like I can talk about it to an extent. And I know when this game did first come out, I was advocating it quite a lot, telling all my friends, hey, check this game out, you should really play it, it's amazing. I have since changed my tune on this game. First of all, I want to start with some of the things that were actually good about this game, some of the pros. Visually, this is an absolutely stunning game. It looks gorgeous in certain aspects. It's a great screenshot type of game. You can have those moments where you're standing on your planet looking out into space and take a screenshot, and it makes an excellent wallpaper. Also, another thing that's fantastic about this game is the first few hours. The initial impression that this game leaves you with is absolutely fantastic. Again, the game looks pretty. It's a very colorful experience. You'll see a lot of things that look brand new. The very idea that you can start on a planet with different trees and different creatures, finding the parts to fix your ship, all the while looking into the sky at the moon of the planet that you're on, fixing your ship, and then immediately flying to that planet is amazing. There's not a lot of games that can do that type of scale, that type of adventure, that type of connectivity within the world that well. One other thing that's a pro for some is that this game is a rather peaceful experience. There are some enemies that you may come across, the sentinels, the different robots on the planets. Honestly, they never pose much of a threat at all, so you really don't have to be worried about dying or having too much difficulty with the enemies in the game. And that's about where the positive aspects of this game end. There are a lot of problems with this game. Number one, and possibly the most egregious problem, is the fact that this game is not what they sold us. They talked about different things you were going to be able to be doing in this game, different things that you were going to see in the world, so much so as showing us those things in the trailer. Perfect example is in the trailer for this game. There is a giant snake creature that worms its way through a sand planet. That's not in the game. I've spent 70 hours, never seen that, never seen a sand planet. There's just a lot of things that are genuinely missing from this game. From a story perspective, there really isn't a story. Yes, you have your own spaceship, and yes, you can fly it from planet to planet, discovering creatures and planets themselves, and entire systems. But that's about it. There's the ultimate goal of getting to the center of the galaxy. There's also a second path that has something to do with an in-game religion. Neither path really is worth following. So there's very little direction in the story of this game, and it doesn't really take you on much of a journey than anything that, well, you might be able to find yourself. Another thing that kind of bothered me with this game was that when I initially started playing it and discovering a lot of the creatures, I started to notice pretty quickly that there's not really that much that's unique. Essentially, the randomization of creatures is done by having different assets like beaks and claws and fur and feathers and things like that, and randomizing those aspects and properties into one creature every single planet that you go to. So one planet you may see a dinosaur-looking creature with wings. The next planet might see the similar-looking dinosaur, but instead of wings, it has a beak. There's not a lot going on here, and honestly, what makes the entire experience with the randomized creatures even worse is that the AI is absolutely deplorable. The creatures will kind of waddle around in circles and not really doing anything at all. Occasionally you may get a predatory creature attacking a non-predatory creature, and that's about it. Otherwise they kind of just wander around doing nothing, waiting for you to come close, so they run away. There's not a lot going on. Again, in the trailer, they showed these creatures interacting in a very sophisticated way that just absolutely was not in the game. In the same way that the creatures are very similar because they are randomized properties and aspects put together into one creature, the same goes for the planets. They're randomized properties and randomized features put into one planet. So you may find one that has red soil, another that has green soil, rock formations you've seen before, colors of the sky that you've seen before, randomized. And in all honesty, there's not a lot going on the surface of these planets. You may find the odd space station, you may find the odd ancient relic, you may even find supplies on a drop pod, but you will never find a city, you will never find a group of non-playable characters forming a civilization on one of these planets. You won't ever see that. They are barren wastelands with the odd, procedurally generated, one single building facility peppered across the planet for things for you to discover. It's very samey. If you've seen one planet, you've essentially seen them all. Now there are some bigger differences. For example, you could go to a planet that has no life on it at all, very little atmosphere, not very habitable, and there's not going to be a lot going on there, where you might be able to come to the next planet that's very lush, with a lot of foliage and a lot of fauna on the planet for you to discover. But again, it's all that very same kind of feeling, each and every planet, just potentially different levels of that. Combat is lacking. You can take on other enemy ships. Honestly, none of them are very challenging. It honestly feels like anytime you get into a spaceship battle, whether that be protecting a fleet from pirates or just simply being attacked by pirates yourself, they don't ever feel fun. They don't ever feel like you're in danger. It's more of a hindrance. It's more of an annoyance to have to deal with something like this. And again, with the ships, that the controls are not very intuitive and the combat system is very shallow and weak. the entire experience of being attacked by pirates or swooping in to protect a freight, it's not a good experience. In most cases, I would actually ignore the pirates as much as I could, because anytime that I was warping to the next planet and I get told by my ship's computer incoming hostiles, I honestly I groan. I hate it. And it's not what you want from a game that's based around spaceships and traveling from one place to another and protecting the things you picked up in combat. The giant freights and envoys of spaceships that you can find and come across in space has greatly increased from when this game first launched. I remember when the game first launched, to see those freights and those 15, 20 ships come in from hyperdrive and just kind of burst right in front of you. It's a great experience. It didn't happen very often when this game first came out. But again, there's not really a point to it. I mean, the freights can come in, you can protect them from pirates, you can attack them yourself if you want to be a pirate. If you protect them, you can then board their freighter and talk to the captain, who will give you a prize or a thing for helping them out. You can also even buy their freighter. Now, I haven't done the freighter thing where you buy a big ship, but evidently you can't do much with those things either. They're storage. They're big, bulky storage that takes a long time to get onto and actually access the things that you have stored on your freighter. Now let's talk about the NPCs. If you go to a shop, or if you land on a space station, or if you find a building on the surface of the planet, there's a small likelihood that there will be an NPC or a non-playable character inside. Those you can actually go to and learn words from, or sell things to, or buy things from, but they don't do anything. You go into the building and they're standing there. They might wave to you. You go up and talk to them and you are presented with a text box. And they never move. They never interact with you. You never hear their voice. There's nothing going on. They're terminals. There's something you can go out to and get rid of your items or require new items, and that's about it. Every single one in the entire universe that I have ever come across acts in the same way. So much so that it even takes you out of the immersion when you talk to someone, because you're no longer in first person. The camera whips around to the side into this third person kind of angle and really takes you out of that moment. So because of all these different aspects, the planets that are the same, the no cities anywhere, the space stations, the hollow flatness of all the NPCs, the entire universe feels empty. It's huge, don't get me wrong. You can go from system to system to system to planet. Every single one of the little stars that you can see on the galaxy map, you can go to, and you can explore, and you can find new things there. But they're not that new. They're very similar to other things you've already come across in the game. Another thing that is more game breaking is the user interface. Managing your storage, your ship storage, your inventory on your suit, it's all very tedious. The user interface, the way everything is laid out on the screen, the way your controls can kind of get from one thing to another is horrendous. You can't just click on something, you have to click and hold to confirm that you've clicked on it. You can, when you move your mouse cursor around the screen, the whole menu will move from one side to the other instead of just your cursor moving in front of a menu. It's all very sloppy and not put together very well. In all honesty, it's hard to watch. It's very hard to use, and it's not intuitive at all. Another thing that bothered a lot of people was the actual control you have over your ship. For example, there's another game out there that's very space oriented that I've played a little bit of, haven't gotten into a lot, but the control that you can do in that game for landing your ship is all very precise, it's all very intricate, it's all very purposeful, In this game, if I'm above the surface of a planet, I can click one button on my keyboard and the entire ship will auto-land itself with no input from me whatsoever. Which this means I can't fly close to the surface of a planet. I can't really do a lot of the things. The game actually takes away control that you would have over your spaceship, which is a huge, huge part of the game. And it just takes that away. It's like you can't be trusted to fly your own spaceship, and I thought that was the whole point of this game. Gathering resources in this game is tedious. I know gathering resources in a lot of games can be tedious, but in this one it's particularly tedious. You just shoot your laser at the wall, at the rock, at the tree, and wait. It's annoying. Another thing that was talked about leading up to this game that is not in the game is multiplayer. They talked about how two people and everybody exists in the same universe and you can run into each other, but the universe is so big you may not ever come across them. That proved to be completely false. There isn't any multiplayer in this game other than possibly coming across a planet someone's already found and seeing the names that they've given to everything. You've probably heard it before in the lead up to this game, that this game was supposed to have 18 quintillion planets. Never found out exactly if that's true, but another thing that No Man's Sky has recently added is base building. I actually don't have any to show on the screen, mostly because I don't see the point. You can build a base on a planet and store things in your base, but every planet is just like every other planet, so why build a base to go back to a different planet? The base building is pretty rudimentary. It's not really reminiscent of, say, a Minecraft or a Space Engineer's kind of building. It's more build the entire room and then connect hallways to other types of rooms and have a really ugly looking base. Unless you really put the time into it, maybe it is possible to make something that's rather interesting looking, but I never found the motivation to build a base because I never really saw the point of having one in the first place. So after all is said and done, this game was talked about and built up to be something unlike anything there ever was before. And in many ways, it is different than a lot of other games. If you're looking for a peaceful, mindless, good-looking space experience, maybe give it a try. Maybe check it out. Maybe buy it on sale. Maybe play it at a friend's house. But if you're expecting this game to look like the trailer for this game, don't. Because it doesn't look like that at all. Perhaps the developers of No Man's Sky, Hello Games, will be able to add things to it and patch it and make it closer to what we expected from the trailer in the next months or years. But as the game stands now, it's just not what they promised. So, after all is said and done with this game, I will give it a 4 out of 10, and I wouldn't recommend it to most people. Again, maybe this game will change over time and evolve into what we hoped it was going to be, but the current iteration of this game, I just simply can't recommend with good conscience. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in for this review of No Man's Sky. Hopefully it has informed you a little bit of the game, giving you a look at what the game actually looks like and feels like and some of the things that you can do. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already subscribed, why not subscribe? And we will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.